We're going to show some clips about how OCD is portrayed in TV shows. Just discuss maybe some of the misinformation about OCD that is out there.
Oh, fancy seeing you guys here. On this episode of OCD, I am taking you in my pantry, literally. For me, like a garage and a pantry, those get me really horny.
I don't know about you, but no one who has talked about their OCD to me has ever said it makes them horny.
If it bothers you that much, just go out and get the shoes. No, don't do this. This is stupid. I don't have to prove anything. I'm gonna go get them. But then everyone will know. Unless I get them and then wake up really early and put them back. I need help.
This isn't just a general, I'm just thinking about this in my bed. This is I'm possibly being terrorized and my brain saying, this is the option. This is the only option for you right now. If you want to sleep, you got to go do this.
Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to another episode of the Get to Know OCD podcast. If you're looking for help for OCD or related conditions, well, check us out at NOCD.com. You can go there and speak to one of our care team members who will set you up with one of our licensed and expertly trained therapists to help you with OCD and related conditions. As always, if you like the Get to Know OCD podcast, you can subscribe to the NOCD YouTube channel or get it wherever you get your favorite podcasts. It is always a pleasure to bring in colleagues, and I am excited today because Nathan Peterson and I have been talking about doing this for the last 2 years, and finally, our schedules have coordinated, and here we are. So, Nathan, welcome to the show, and could you tell everyone a little bit about yourself and how you got into the world of OCD?
Yeah, I am so happy to be here. I know we've talked about this for a long time. OCD is definitely a passion of mine, working with it. I first started working with OCD probably about 14 or so years ago.
Okay.
And before that, it was everything else. It's schizophrenia, bipolar. And I realized when working with OCD, I was like, man, this treatment seems to actually work when people do it. And it's very straightforward. Here's a protocol. This is what you do. And I loved that instead of maybe you should try this, maybe you should try that with other things. And I was just like, man, people are getting better and I love it. And I want to keep doing it. And there's hardly any providers. And I want to make sure people have help. And so started working at an intensive outpatient program.
Okay.
And then moved to Texas, wanted to go somewhere a little bit warmer.
You got warmer, that's for sure, when you go to Texas.
It's very warm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Chicago, I'm sure, is super cold where you're at.
It's getting there. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Getting there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I started my own practice here and started making videos online. Just like, hey, give this to your parent. Help them know about OCD. And then I realized, wow, other people are watching it.
Yeah.
People are enjoying it. And so just started making more and more. And so it's been part of my time making videos and part of my time seeing patients in my office.
Yeah, because if you go on YouTube and you look up OCD, you are plastered everywhere. So you have cornered the market. Congratulations on just making incredibly great content that people really enjoy watching.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Well, that's awesome. So, we spend a lot of time talking about OCD in these episodes, but I think for the two of us today, we're gonna talk a little bit differently. We're gonna show some clips about how OCD is portrayed in TV shows, and we're going to just discuss maybe some of the misinformation about OCD that is out there and maybe help people put a little correction on it, because I think you'd agree with me that OCD is one of those terms that it seems everybody knows, but not many people know the true definition of what it is.
Yes, definitely. And I don't know about your experience, but when people ask me what I do and I say, oh, I work with OCD, it's almost inevitable. We already know what they're going to say.
Oh, I have a little of that.
I've got that too. Yeah. And usually if they say that, that means they don't have it.
Right.
Most of the time.
The other thing that I've heard is, oh, I wish I had a little of that.
Ooh, yeah.
Almost like my house would be cleaner and things would just be more organized if I had a little OCD. And I don't know about you, but I don't know of many other mental health conditions where people wish they had some of it.
Definitely. I wish I had more diabetes. Or I wish I had,
Right.
People don't say that. I wish I had more
No.
bipolar. Like,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't seem that we hear that. So it's a big piece, I know, for you and for us at NOCD to make sure that we get proper education out there to the world about what OCD is, the seriousness of the diagnosis, how it absolutely can devastate lives, and also, though, provide hope to people because there is treatment available.
Oh, yeah. Like that to me is the most important thing. It's like, we could talk about OCD all day, but like,
Yeah.
how do people get better? Like, that's important.
Right. Right. Well, maybe we could start with a clip. I think our producer in the background will roll a clip for us, and and we'll maybe have a little chat about it afterwards.
Oh, fancy seeing you guys here. On this episode of CloCD, I am taking you in my pantry, literally. For me, like a garage and a pantry, those get me really horny. Normally, I think areas like this for a homeowner are intimidating. So everything to me has a home. As you could tell, I like containers. I like things to all kind of look the same and have some fluid flow to it. I mean, I find a ton of really cool things at yard sales all the time.
Now, I don't know about you, but no one who has talked about their OCD to me has ever said it makes them horny, unless that might be an obsession that they have about what if I get horny because of my OCD. But otherwise, I don't hear that description. I don't know about you, but you tell me.
No.
Yeah.
And the other word that I heard was, I like. I like when these things are organized. I don't hear people often say that unless it's, I like it because it makes that anxiety go down, which is a compulsion. They don't like it because they like it.
Right. Yeah, I heard the sneaky phrase of, I want to show you my OCD. I've even heard to a point where people that I've been working with have said to me, I've been told I can't have OCD because my house is messy. And other providers that I've worked with have said, oh, well, you can't have OCD if you have a messy house, right? It would, and this just goes to, I think, some of the misinformation again about OCD, that everybody washes their hands, everybody straightens things up all the time, and everybody checks the locks of the stove to make sure that the doors are locked or the stove is off. And that's what OCD is, and it's obviously far more than that.
Definitely. When somebody says they have OCD and my room or my pantry or whatever it is, it's not an enjoyable thing for people to go through. And but I try to give people the benefit of the doubt. It's like, well, we don't know. We just see what we saw on TV, and people use the term so willy-nilly. It's easy to kind of just assume that that's what it is.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that we're able to bring some light into what this actually looks like.
Right. And you and I have no problem with people being organized whatsoever. I mean, you can be organized. I like being organized. But I also am able to get here on time to meet with you and not say, hey, could we wait 20 minutes because I noticed that one of the hangers in my closet is a different color than the shirt that is hanging on it. And I can't have that because that violates a rule, and I can't do anything else until that's fixed.
Right. That's the part people are missing. Is where is it interfering in my life? Where maybe for this person, this is a preference that they have. I prefer things to be a certain way, but I bet if it wasn't, it actually still would be okay too. Where's the interference other than, it's an enjoyable thing that I like to organize.
Right. And we will never stop people from doing things that they enjoy, right? But we do want to help people not do things that interfere in their life.
Definitely.
Now, as I say that, I think there's a caveat. I'd be interested in your opinion on this, but there will also be people who might be so ingrained in OCD that they're convinced that they enjoy doing these things, when the reality is it is a fear-based experience.
Right. Well, I think when somebody feels a sense of relief by doing a behavior, whether it's washing hands or asking for reassurance or saying a certain number in their head, whatever it is, they feel their body learns, their brain learns from that. Like, hey, this was the right thing to do. You feel better from it. Good job. Do it again next time you feel this. So there is that sense of like, you did it. This is what you're supposed to do. And it can get really confusing of like, I think this is just how life is. And it's not. There's so much more.
Right. It's almost as if the greatest reward system in your life is OCD patting you on the back and saying, that was pretty good. It's never good enough, but that was pretty good. Maybe next time we could try a little better, but I'll give you a pass on this one.
Right. That's the crux of it all. It's never good enough. And even when it feels good enough, it doesn't feel good enough later. It just doesn't last long.
There's a time limit on good enough, right? If compulsions truly worked, you would do it once and then you would never have to do it again because now it's been done good enough and you've passed that. So this is, to me, the insidious nature of OCD and the lies that it tells, which is you can't achieve something that I want you to achieve, when the reality is you'll never fully achieve it.
Definitely. I think there's a false sense of security. If I keep doing my compulsions, that means that I'm protecting myself from this fear that I have, whatever it is. If I stop doing them, I might become the person that I don't want to be, or do the behaviors I don't want to do. I might get sick. I might actually leave my door open, whatever it is. So it's a protectant that is really hard, I think, for people to say, I'm willing to risk it by not doing this compulsion and see what happens.
Yeah. Let's go to another clip. We've got clip 2 here. Let's have.
Go to bed, guys.
All right. Good night, Monica.
Mon, you're gonna leave your shoes out here?
Uh-huh.
Really? Just casually strewn about in that reckless, haphazard manner?
Doesn't matter. I'll get them tomorrow. Or not. Whenever.
She is a kook.
If it bothers you that much, just go out and get the shoes. No, don't do this. This is stupid. I don't have to prove anything. I'm gonna go get them. But then everyone will know. Unless I get them and then wake up really early and put them back. Oh, I need help.
The interesting thing on that one, I think, is that could actually be the dialogue that some people would experience in OCD.
Yeah, it makes sense. The brain goes into problem-solving mode and says, "Hey, let's figure out a way around, feeling better, getting this off your mind. You can't sleep until you go do it. Like, so here's a bunch of options for you."
Yeah, and yet, I'd love to hear you speak for a bit about how OCD has been used in general in the media as a comedy experience versus what it's really like to live with OCD.
Yeah, so I guess if we took this as an example, like, this is not a fun thing. Actually, maybe people aren't going to like this, but I haven't watched Friends, really. I've heard about Monica. I've heard about people think maybe she has OCPD, maybe she has OCD, things like that. But let's just take this for OCD.
Right.
This isn't just a general, I'm just thinking about this in my bed. This is I'm possibly being terrorized and my brain saying, this is the option. This is the only option for you right now. If you want to sleep, you got to go do this.
Yes.
It's going to be on your mind. You might be terrorized by it. Where for someone else without OCD, doesn't know any better, it's like, it's easy to laugh at that. I've seen many clips online where it is a comedy thing, whether it's, Monk or Big Bang Theory, different shows like that, where it's like, it's supposed to be comedic. But I wish we could hear what's in that person's head when they're going through the moment, because they just want relief from anxiety, and anxiety says you're in danger. It's not a fun feeling.
And to take it to the next level, someone with OCD might bring the shoes in and then still be awake wondering, but did I bring them in? Maybe I should check just to make sure that I actually did bring them in. Maybe I thought I brought them in, or maybe that was last night that I'm remembering, and maybe I should still get up and see if the shoes are still in here. And they could do that 10, 20, 30, 40, X number of times as trying to seek a guarantee that the shoes are in the room, right?
Right. Or it didn't feel right when I did bring them in. Or did I have the right intentions or the right thoughts as I brought them in?
There you go.
If it didn't all feel the right way, the same way, maybe I need to go back and redo it in some way. I think that's that compulsion piece we were talking about, is like, this is good enough for now, but like, how were your intentions when you did that?
Right.
And it just causes more doubt.
If Monica can do all of these things and it's not taking an hour of her day or really interfering in her life, it's just the way that she does things, we're not going to give a diagnosis of obsessive compulsive disorder. And yet, how many people will look at Monica and say, oh, she's so OCD?
Right. It's easy to look at little moments, little maybe preferences that people have and say, well, yeah, totally OCD. But when we actually diagnose it, we're looking for, where's the interference in your life? How many hours are you spending either doing compulsion or having obsessions in your life? And we're looking at the whole picture instead of just little moments.
Yeah. Obviously, for a sitcom, you're only going to get little moments and you're going to be making inferences on it. But there are moments in sitcoms even where they go to serious, where somebody might be abusing drugs, somebody might have a depression, and you typically don't see a laugh track on that one. But then we go into the OCD experiences and suddenly there's the laugh track, right? And it just seems like for some reason, other disorders are taken much more seriously than OCD is.
Yeah. OCD definitely can just be up here in someone's mind and isn't always an outward thing that people are noticing or seeing. And I think that sometimes is part of the problem, is like, we don't see it. And so it could be just a funny thing. Whereas maybe a drug addiction, maybe they show on TV, like you can see it. You can see the impact in their life.
Yeah.
Where someone might be just tapping on something 5 times because of OCD, like, it can just seem funny when really they're terrorized.
The other thing that sometimes happens in movies is almost the obligatory scene of like a horror film or a film about a murderer where they'll walk through a room and something will be slightly askew on a shelf and they'll stop and they'll have to put it straight. Almost then linking, oh yeah, people who like to murder folks also have OCD too, right? Yeah.
It's definitely easy to make connections with that. When really it's like, how many people would walk by and straighten something? I would say, maybe everyone.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. In fact, there's a treatment center that when they build their centers, they purposely glue the pictures on the wall sideways or askew so that it's just triggering to people. And no matter how many times you try to push it to straighten it, it is literally like glued to the wall that way and not straight. So people have to just deal with that experience.
Yeah. I mean, that's what OCD treatment really is all about, is can I tolerate this uncomfortable feeling and try not to fix it, make sense of it, and teach my brain something different about it. That I'm only going to go do this behavior because it's just a preference that I have. If I couldn't do it, cool too. That's great.
And we don't know anyone, maybe you do. I've yet not met anyone who would like more OCD, right? And who holds OCD as a preference in their life. Right?
I haven't met anyone that loves it enough where they want to keep it around.
Yeah. When there are people who are having trouble with kind of differentiating if it's real or not, that's kind of a different thing. We know that there's some people, a low number of people, but some people who have a very low level of insight into their OCD, and they might actually believe their obsessions to be true. But we still have interventions for that, even going into medication interventions, low doses of some atypical types of drugs that could be helpful to crack that door open so that we can even get into doing ERP for folks. But that's a pretty low level of folks that we see coming in.
Right. Most people that I see will tell me, like, I know this is,
yeah,
I don't know if ridiculous is the word, but some of them have used that. I
Sure.
know this makes no sense. One
Yep.
person out of ever have had this disease or diagnosis, but I know it's ridiculous, but I can't stop thinking about it or doing these behaviors.
Yep.
So there is that level of insight, but there are, like you said, some who maybe just think, this is how it is. I don't know what OCD is maybe yet. And I'm really in danger here.
It also even gets into then how we're going to treat it, because I'm sure you see this. People sometimes show up for therapy and say, I don't ever want to have this thought ever again, or this image or this urge. And we have to kind of level set with them what we're going to do for therapy.
Right. Like, well, you might be in shock because we're actually going to think about it.
Yeah. Could you go more in depth in that about why is it that we don't want a goal of never thinking of something?
Yeah, I think it's just unattainable for everybody, actually, whether you have OCD or not. We don't get to choose, well, for the most part, the intrusive thoughts that come to our mind, but we get to choose what we're going to do with it. And for me, that's where the intervention really comes, is what are we going to do with it when it gets here? If we try to push it away, then we're saying it has value and it's important. And our job is actually to say how unimportant, is that the word? Unimportant?
Unimportant.
Unimportant. There we
Yeah.
go. Let's teach your brain something different about this. And yeah, we can change the behaviors and all the things that you're doing. And eventually your brain's like, I don't really care about this thing anymore.
Yeah.
It's really cool how that works.
Yeah. Cool. Hey, let's look at another clip that's out there.
Three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
I'm just as happy now to see her performance when I was in my barefoot days.
You guys, things are going really, really well with my book. You know, my first pages are due next week, and I've gotten a lot done, so I feel like if I continue at this rate, then I'm going to get there quickly with the book.
What's up, honey?
I'm just telling you about my book.
You're counting to 8. No, she's counting.
Maybe
No, I'm
after
not.
the show.
I'm not.
Look,
Wow. Like they got it right.
They did, didn't they? I mean, I was thinking that myself watching that of, geez, that I've seen that, right? I've seen that in therapy and I'm working with people. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm sitting here and I'm actually like, almost like emotional. on
Yeah.
the inside. I mean,
Mm.
I'm feeling it. Like, this is it. This is what people are experiencing. And I think, like, where's the fun
None.
that everyone else is talking about?
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what she is experiencing because I haven't seen this, but a lot of times when I see those behaviors, it's either a magical thinking type of thing.
Mhm.
If I don't do this in a certain way or a certain amount of times, something bad could happen.
Yep.
Or it just needs to feel right. And it doesn't, if I do close the door 4 times, it feels right. And now I can move forward. And it's sad. It's, even just trying to enjoy her time with her family, you can see, I noticed the finger because I noticed things like that.
Yeah.
Notice the finger tapping, moving, and it's sad.
And it's not uncommon for people to deny it then, where mom points it out and we've had that in probably you have, I know I have in adolescent sessions. I'm not doing a compulsion and it's like, it's pretty obvious. Or one thing that I hear sometimes from people is, well, I stopped doing it. When did you stop? 2 hours ago. I decided after 2 hours ago that I've stopped doing it. I'm not going to do it anymore. Right. And it's like, I might need a little bit more time to be convinced that you stopped doing something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. That might be a good example of a time where it sounds like it looks like she's doing compulsions so often that it kind of just integrates with life.
Right.
And sometimes people just do it and they actually are forgetting that they're doing compulsions. It's just part of life. And so it's separating that and saying, actually, I know you don't want to hear it, but this is a compulsion that you're doing.
And it is still treatable, even if it gets to be to that almost automatic kind of level. We can still absolutely do interventions for that.
Oh, totally.
Mm-hmm. And what you didn't see in that clip is potentially what you saw in the other ones, where someone was enjoying it or there was a laugh track, right? Here we just see this is something that's happening. I mean, imagine also being the neighbor of someone who's slamming their door 8 times like that. That could potentially, for someone with OCD, lead to arguments with people that they keep doing those things and complaints. I've seen them also when people are, driving around the block multiple times because they're afraid they've run someone over, and the police get called by someone who keeps looking out of their house and sees this car driving by multiple times. And it's like, what's going on? And the police come, and now it's like, do I tell someone that I'm afraid I ran someone over? And then how are the police going to react to that? And all that, just, it's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. A lot of time wasted, and people lose things. They lose jobs, they lose relationships because the compulsion or the obsession feels so strong that it's like, I can't sometimes feel like I can let this go because I'm not willing to risk whatever it is. But like you said, I like that you keep bringing that up. Like, treatment does work. It doesn't matter how far down the line you are, how integrated it is in your life. Like, treatment works. And it's being willing to trust in that process.
So one of the reasons we wanted to show these clips, and I'm interested in hearing from you, because you're in the media all the time and you're putting out truthful information about OCD. But then there's other things in the media that are showing these things that are OCD-ish, right? OCD light. And people are getting that idea that that's what OCD is. So how have you seen this in people that you're working with and just in your general education? How have you had to deal with people who don't understand OCD and had to combat misinformation about OCD?
Yeah. I think what's really cool about posting these videos is I get to see the comments, and there are some people that just get it. Like, oh yeah, this is what I experience. I see comments like, I've had this for 20 years. No one's explained this before. This is the first time I've seen it. Where else are you going to see that? Like, not on Friends, having it explained to you.
Yeah.
But misinformation definitely is there, where I talk about treatment quite a lot in my videos, what it looks like, how to do it. And a lot of people don't understand it. Like, why would you do that? Go do this first. Go do acupuncture. Go do that. Definitely had my fair share of hate for sharing all the themes of OCD. It's scary because it's like, I've never heard this before. This one of the few people on YouTube that are talking about it. Like, this guy must be wacky. Something must be wrong with him.
You've had some threats, I know, even on that. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's really cool is, I was going to say, to have the community support, even though there are threats, there's misinformation, for people to say, like, what are you talking about? This is actually OCD.
Yeah.
And I experience it, and it's this community is awesome.
And Nathan, I want to be very sensitive to things. So as much as you're willing to discuss, there were some difficult times for you out in social media, and I'm again to your level, but I'm wondering if you would be willing to share a little bit about that.
Yeah, definitely. One instance that I had, so I wanted to make videos for every theme of OCD that I could think of. And one of them specifically is POCD. It's not talked about very often. Pedophile OCD. I don't know if we can use that term.
Yeah, absolutely.
YouTube liking it, but and I had a video about this is what it looks like, and it did great. It was on there for probably about 2 years or so, and I woke up one morning from a text from someone I went to high school with. I didn't even talk to him since high school, and he's like, "Hey, your picture is blasted all over Twitter. Is this you?" And I'm like, "Oh, really?" And I'm like, "This is me." It was some mainstream media guy who was saying, "This guy's the mouthpiece for the pedophiles. Watch out," with my picture. And I'm like, dang. So I went on there, I actually sent it to the OCD community. I was like, "Hey, can you guys back me up here? Talk about what POCD is." And so they did, which is great. And I think that just fueled the fire. Yeah. So he ended up putting a clip of my video on his show. And from that show essentially said, yeah, again, this guy's the mouthpiece for the pedophiles. He's trying to make sure that people are okay with it. It's the new, like, love is love kind of thing. And it literally had death threats, but said, well, hypothetically, I want all those things to happen to him, which got him out of some legal trouble. And so that was very anxiety provoking to be like, whoo, well, thanks for that. Posting my picture and saying I'm that, and having people go find me and take me out, and all this stuff. And so, yeah, very anxiety provoking. And after that moment, I was like, oh, it's just some troll online, no big deal. But I realized it didn't go away. The thoughts were there, the images were there, the words he used. The video that he posted on there is my office. I had my 2 pictures behind me. Specifically said he wanted to, I don't know how graphic we want to get, but splattered on the wall behind me. And I'm like, oh, I see those pictures every day when I'm at work. Like, everything was a trigger now. And my thought was, no one's going to understand this. No one's going to understand POCD. They're going to see this. They're going to come find me. They're going to find my family. He invited them to. And so I was literally watching out for myself. And it was months and months and months of that. And I'm like, dang it. Like, I need to do the thing I've been telling other people to do. My first thought was, how can I stay safe? So take down the video, not even take down the video, take down YouTube altogether. I don't want anyone to find me, none of these videos. Instead of doing that, I chose to do the treatment I told everyone else to do, which is exposure and response prevention. How can I sit with this discomfort? I know there's a real event that actually did happen, but where am I in danger now? I don't see anything. No one's showing up at my house. I got a few emails, but cool. How can I be uncertain just like everybody else? And so I kind of did my own exposure process. I allowed myself to not avoid looking at the pictures on the walls that reminded me how I would be dead, all this stuff. Did other things that just reminded myself that, like, life happens, but like, when I had so much support from the community, sending me emails, reminding me how this is important work, it was like, oh yeah, you got one person that says this, but like there's thousands of others who are like, this is OCD. You saved my life by this one video. And it was like, that is enough for me to keep this up. I'm going to keep doing videos. And I'm so glad that I did. And I think just getting back to life, not avoiding the triggers and responding differently to them instead of like, I hope no one's going to come get me. Of just like, I really don't know, but I'm still going to get in my car and get to work and help people because that makes me happy. And that's what I want to keep doing. And for anyone doing treatment, like sometimes that's what it's all about. Let me go live life, do the things that I enjoy, even if I'm being triggered and feeling anxious and nervous. And there's a point where my brain stopped thinking about it. And someone could mention this person's name and it wasn't a huge rush of emotions and feelings and hide. It was oh yeah, I remember that happened. It was kind of sucky at the time. But I'm glad because I learned from it.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad nothing happened to you. That's the best part of all of it. Yeah. So Nathan, all that happens, and as you said, you could have walked away, and you worked on yourself to keep going. But there's got to be something deep within you that really drove this. What was it?
Yeah, I know we're talking about misinformation on this podcast, and that's really what this was all about. Is how many people are reaching out saying this video explains so much of what I'm going through. And yes, there's the misinformation, but we need these types of videos to kind of like saturate the market. Is that the word? Like there's so many of it where people are going to understand this is what POCD is. This is a real diagnosis. This is what people are going through. It's not a denial of something. And we need more of it. Actually, YouTube flagged, I had 2 videos about it. They flagged both of them. And I said,
really?
We were going to have to remove these. And I had to sit on support with YouTube, had a video of my video. I had a video of the person I'm talking to. We had to watch it together and I had to educate them. This is what it really is. This is what it looks like. Here's some information. Here's official websites. Can I please keep this up? And they agreed to it.
Yeah. Okay.
But I thought it was sad that it's not well known where it can actually just be like, it can seem scary, but when you actually know OCD, it's like, this is what people are going through. And it can be very scary. And we need more information so people feel more combined together.
And that is what I love about the therapy we do, because you don't just have to have OCD to benefit from being exposed to things that are uncomfortable and learning how to manage whatever the thoughts or the images or the urges that you experience are. It applies to anxiety. It applies to traumatic experiences. I did something similar when Susan was diagnosed and then eventually passed away. It was like I had to apply all the advice I was giving to people I was working with, or else I would have been sitting in a ball in the corner, miserable. I'm like, I'm not going to do that. I'm gonna have to be out there in the world. I'm gonna have to talk about it and tell people about it and go through it. And so I don't think there's a better endorsement for the work that we do than if we're applying it to our own lives, in addition to helping other people apply it to theirs.
Oh, definitely. I'm curious about your experience, but when I had to actually get down into the roots of it all and actually do the treatment, and I'm like, I'm not doing this. Like, I'm telling everyone else to do this, but this is scary.
Yeah.
And it helped me get a better understanding when people are maybe a little resistant to it.
I can tell you mine was guilt, because she's dying and people are saying, well, let's go play golf. And I'm like, I can't go play golf. My wife's dying, and then I eventually thought about it, and people were pushing me. They're like, you tell people about doing things to not burn out, that sometimes you got to take a break. And why wouldn't you do that for yourself? So I just worked it out then that I had people come over and stay with her, and I would go out for a couple of hours. I would go just be with some friends and just walk away from the experience. But I could come back rejuvenated and refreshed and feel like, okay, I the batteries are recharged and I'm ready to go the next round to do something. But that was tough at first, dealing with the guilt that I had of leaving her and thinking, is it fair? And that's another word, right? Oh God, the word fair. Is it fair that she can't leave the house and I can't? All those things were there.
That's something that I'm glad that you shared that. It's such a good testament to me of just like, man, this guy, a great example. Because I remember those moments and I'm like, he's still showing up for this like IOCDF live thing. He's still like, wow. Everyone else in my mind would be like, nope, I'm out for a while. But like, you were doing the thing that you loved. I'm sure that took a lot of effort to do. Great testament to me to say like, keep living life the way you feel like is best for you. And it's, great example.
And for you, that's why I'm glad your channel is still up. You didn't let someone heckling you bring you down and stop you from doing what you know is the right thing to do. And you persevered. And that's exactly what we hope that our members will do. The people that we're working with, we want them to go through the tough stuff. We want them to persevere. We want them to learn that they can handle it. It may feel like their life is over. It's the end of the world. This is the worst thing that's ever happened. And yet, hopefully there's something that they see on the other side that pulls them toward it and gets them through that experience.
Yeah. This is really well said. It's living life is important, enjoying, moving towards our values, and OCD can really rip that away from people. Make it feel like that is where you're at for the rest of your life. I guess for anyone listening, like for sure there's hope in doing it. And sometimes it's just putting all your guards down and saying, I don't know if this is right, but I got to do it.
Yeah.
And see what happens.
Yeah. And if you have OCD, it will definitely not feel right. Let's just be honest about that. That is exactly where it's going to go. It isn't going to feel right. And what Nathan and I will tell anybody from OCD treatment is that our goal is not to feel right or great. Our goal is to learn that we can handle the discomfort that OCD brings. It's to live in the doubt, live in the uncertainty, and accept that and move on and forward with it without having to have the 100% assurance that everything's going to be okay.
Right. Because there aren't many things on this earth that are 100% assurance.
Right. We're going to die. I'll give you that one. I don't know a lot of other things other than that one.
I know a lot of people can feel almost hopeless that, so I'm doing OCD treatment, but I'm not going to get 100%. I'm never going to have a thought again. Like, I'm still going to have thoughts. I'm still going to have anxiety sometimes, an urge to do a compulsion. And like, possibly, we don't know what it might look like for you, but would you rather do it maybe one time a day or 1,000 times a day?
Yeah.
One time a day is nothing. I mean, it's still something, but what are you doing with that time in your life? That's important.
So there's people out there who have seen some of the clips like the first two, who then maybe think they have OCD, but, well, hey, I hear we all have a little OCD, so it mustn't be a big deal or anything. Then there's your videos, which are giving great education. What's your goal, or how do you want to motivate people to take that step into, I'm going to go get this checked out. I'm going to see what's out there. I'm going to see if there's actually help available.
Yeah. I'm hoping over time I have enough videos where those are upping the misinformation of OCD. And for people all around the world, we very blessed to live in the US here, where there's a lot of treatment options. Not everybody has that around the world. And so I'm hoping even just my video maybe can motivate somebody to just go do something, even if it's on their own. They can't afford a therapist or whatever it is. Just like, let me try something, some information, just to see if it works. And build hope.
And it works. And you definitely help people with hope, right? I mean, I can only imagine there's been people who have been struggling, who have done a search and seen you on YouTube and have thought, wow, somebody gets it, somebody understands, and hopefully realizes they didn't make this video just for me. There must be other people out there with this too. I'm not the only one in the world.
Definitely. I get emails at least weekly from people who like, wow, like you explained exactly what I'm going through. Like, how did you know what was in my mind? And guess how we know? Because OCD plays the same tricks for every person.
Every time. Yeah. Oh, and that is something I love saying to people is that if I know one thing, I know what OCD is going to do because it does the same thing all the time.
Yeah. It's going to tell you not to get treatment because it knows if you do that, it has to go away. And it doesn't want to go away.
Yeah. Yeah. It lives on one thing, compulsions. And so it does not want to give those up. And that's where you and I come in, because our job is to work with convincing people to take that very brave step of not doing a compulsion and learning that compulsions are not the end all be all of being able to function in the world.
Yeah.
Well,
I always want people to know right now it's going to be really hard with whatever treatment, with doing the treatment, but just like, it's not always going to be that hard. Just take that first step and do it. And I always tell people, like, you got to have faith. You can't see it just yet.
Yeah.
But you'll see it eventually.
And boy, is faith not hard for people, especially even with scrupulosity, faith, we see, which is another area that OCD loves to go to. And OCD doesn't like faith. OCD only likes proof. And to accept something without proof, OCD is like, nah, not up for that. Doesn't sound good.
Yeah. And that's why uncertainty is like the OCD killer. I mean, does not like it.
Yeah. I've always thought of fun ways to describe OCD. Sometimes I've said OCD is like you're in the marching band, but you're following the Budweiser Clydesdales. And there's just these bombs being left on the street, and you have to dodge them all and everything. Just just got to watch out for those. It is. If there's a way for something to be destroyed, OCD is going to destroy it. Or at least try with valiant effort to be able to do such a thing. And we just want to teach people, sure, it can try, but it doesn't mean you have to listen to it or believe it or anything like that.
Right. It's like, hey, thanks for this thought, but like I'm going on a date, or I'm going to go play a video game or hang out with my friends or go to this event. Like, cool, thanks for that, but I'm still living life. Like, that's what it's all about.
Yeah. So where do people find you and your info, and how do they, see all the great stuff that you, Nathan Peterson, are doing?
YouTube channel is called OCD and Anxiety. Super unique. OCD and Anxiety. Type my name in, Nathan Peterson. I have a practice in Texas. I only see a few clients, but I've got online courses as well, just for those who might not have access to treatment. Just to learn about it, what it's all about. So that's at OCD-anxiety.com.
Awesome. Well, Nathan, thank you again for being here today. And thank you for your presence, just the work that you do, the information that you put out, the way that it connects to people is absolutely amazing. And I'm thrilled that we finally, after talking about this for 2 years, we're able to finally get together and chat. So keep doing the work you're doing, because it makes a difference, and we all see it. So thank you very much.
I appreciate it. I enjoy the work that you do as well, and so happy that we get to combine forces and help the world.
Yeah. Awesome. And thank all of you for watching the Get to Know OCD podcast. If you're living with OCD, guess what? You can get better. With the right treatment, you can learn how to manage your symptoms, and you can put yourself, not OCD, in charge of your life. Head to NOCD.com to get connected with highly trained therapists in our NOCD network. And if you've enjoyed the podcast, again, subscribe to our NOCD YouTube channel, where you can get more episodes of the Get to Know OCD podcast. We'll see you again soon.